Hello and welcome to the Handicapable Black Woman Podcast, YouTube edition. I'm a woman, I am of color, and I am handicapable, but most importantly, I am human. This episode is going to be kind of a part two of my first Reddit story, but I'm going to do more of my story time as you guys are used to because it made me think a lot since this gentleman was friends with this young woman before they were dating. And this young woman was in school to be a massage therapist before they started dating. And he didn't announce his disappointment or his feelings or jealousy or anything like that until after. And and so that's one reason why I mentioned the reasons why I think it is because whenever I've had a guy tell me I better quit or he's going to leave me or not date me or lose interest in me, or why would a man want an educated woman, or why am I going to be working so hard on my degrees and things like that when I need to just make sure that I'm able to make him happy and cook, clean, and do his laundry in the house and everything and make his babies. And it's like, or yeah, I don't know if this is going to be a part two of this one, but or when the moms tell me that the only reason I got into college is because of me being black, when their son, who was white, dropped out of college, and almost all of her white children dropped out of college and either went to the army or a trade or certification or something like that. Yeah. Or when I have the moms who say, if you marry a woman like that, she'll make you look bad, and et cetera, et cetera. I kept, especially the moms, because so that's one reason when I talk about the definition of a parent, I will be making sure I cover that. Because one thing I feel like when your child goes out into the dating world, it's like if you want to make sure your child gets to meet amazing, wonderful, well established people, motivate your child to be that great, amazing, motivated person. And instead, like if they do meet someone and you think that, okay, this person might be on a higher, because like, and the thing is, I never thought I was on a higher level. I just made the standards list that I made a year ago, literally just about a year ago to this day. So, and I made it because either men were telling me, why are you doing all this? You're black. A black woman's not supposed to be doing all this. And especially like the black men would tell me, I'm trying to be too white. I'm trying to be too proper. Why would I waste my time trying to do all this stuff? And that's not what we're here to do. And I want to know, what are we here to do? Tell me. Or one guy was like, oh, you need to go into the dictionary and look up what a black woman is. Well, I guess it's not in there, so I think you're going to have to give me your definition because, anyway, and also, what is the definition? What am I supposed to be, quote unquote? And it's really frustrating because I'm a human being. I should be able to be who, what, and where, whatever I want to be. And it's really sad that, especially in America and society, they still want to push down certain demographics or tell certain demographics they're not good enough, you know? And it's to the point where now a lot of, well, I mean, a lot of men want to be lazy, but then they want to push down the women so that they don't look as bad. But especially with, I'm seeing that so much with African American men. So much. And it's to the point where it's just, why can't I be the most amazing woman that I want to be? Why should I lower myself to be at his level when maybe it's a hint for him to motivate himself to be at a higher level. And that does not mean going to get a bachelor's or a trade, or I mean maybe it's like it might be either a trade or certification or a job or career that is not something for everyone, one where there's like the competition is good and the salary is amazing so that he can see retirement one day, where he can invest one day. But yeah, I don't run into many of those men. One reason is because I'm black, and a lot of men want to make sure I know that I'm black. Whenever I say that I have my 3 degrees, whenever I say that I'm a self published author, and oh, some men was like, oh, self published, that means no publisher wanted you. Actually, when I copyrighted one of my stories, I still don't even know how this company found me, but a publisher wrote me offering to publish my book. But maybe it wasn't the best business idea, and maybe I was in too much pain because this is literally about 3 or 4 months before I had to have my surgery and start the horror story of figuring out what my diagnosis or why am I like this and everything. But yeah, it's frustrating because a man should be able to do as he wishes, but at the same time, if you find a woman who's doing as she wishes and she's able to get the degrees and, well, even with the self publishing, which I left off of, it's like I self published because a lot of people don't know much about the industry, and they don't know that when you go under a large publishing company, a lot of them take majority of your money, so then you end up with maybe like 30% of what you could have actually made. And I know, starting as a nobody, a beginner and everything like that, and some people are like, don't say you're a nobody. Oh, out in these fields, yeah, I'm starting at the bottom. So, and I know that, and I know it's going to be a lot of marketing and talking and networking and everything like that. But that's part of it, and a lot of motivation, a lot of motivation, especially when you have a disability, especially when you're a person of color and you're a woman. Everybody wants to remind you of you're going to be a failure because of one or maybe one, two, or all of those items. And when it comes to the publishing industry, I wanted to write the characters I wanted to write about. I wanted to have people of color representation. I wanted at least my characters to have either natural hair, sew-ins, and like, I mean, it's like I'm gonna try to make sure none of them have relaxers, because, especially with all the studies of now, people are getting cancer from that, stuff like that. Part of me is just like, you know what? Yeah, we need more natural hair representation in the books for main characters. And so I'm going that route. But since some of my degrees are business related, and since my bachelor's is in English and everything, I wanted to at least try to get the business going on my own. And especially within the publishing business, it's harder for people of color to get their book published and everything, unless it's about certain types or basically stereotypes, and I refuse to do that. So, yeah. Sometimes when people try to put me down for self-publishing, they don't ask me why or how or whatever. They don't ask me about my LLC. They don't ask about the other streams of income that I'm working on, or how I'm trying to make this a full-blown business and things. So, but whenever I'm on dating apps and the guy starts asking, what are you doing? What do you work on? I try to avoid those because I've had it to the point where what I just tell a guy, I'm just working on some projects, I'm just working on stuff. And a lot of these guys are like, what kind of stuff? What kind of projects? Oh, just some stuff, nothing big. Because when I used to say, oh, I'm writing my own books, I'm publishing and everything, and trying to start a business, do you know how many times I gotten blocked? Do you know how many times men have told me, why are you trying to do all that? Why are you wasting your time? You should just be having kids, and or you care more about that stuff than you do having kids. When I care more about who I have kids with. That's why I haven't dealt with them. Like, yeah, so, but some of the guys that I do want to deal with, they don't want a woman with the education or the dedication or just, or their family members don't want someone that is black. Oh, Mr. No Heart's family, they were so disappointed when they found out I was black. They were in shock, disappointment. Yeah, Lake City, Michigan. In my opinion, they're as racist as who. Yeah, that's. I have so many thoughts on that city. I was there about 3 or 4 times. Each time was, and it's so racist that Mr. No Heart's oldest daughter, she walked off. Like at first, she was crying, and I was like, "Why are you crying? What's going on?" And she was like, "They're staring at you." And I'm like, "Oh, how do you know if they're staring at me?" I knew they were staring at me, but being black, like black people, we know how to just, like whatever. Okay, just don't bother me. And she was just like, I see them. They are staring and pointing at you. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, I know. And I know I've mentioned the story before and everything, but especially when you're walking, heading towards a restaurant, and all of a sudden, like, someone's yanking on your hair because you have your afro out that day. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They know how to make you feel like you're human. Oh, so much sarcasm in that, isn't there? Yeah, you could chew on it. But I'm so, and that's the funny thing. I know I'm getting off topic, but you guys are used to me doing that. When I broke up with this gentleman, because when I was working on my novel, and well, actually, no, it's on topic, but yeah, it's going to be a balance of not and on. But anyway, um, when I broke up with him, I was so thankful and happy that it was over. One, because I would never have to go back to Lake City ever again, because those people made me feel like I was worthless. And even when he bumped into people he went to high school with, they didn't even want to shake my hand. They wanted no acknowledgement of me. They ignored me. And like, I've been dating this guy for over like 3.5, 4 years. And I'm just like, hold up, but okay, so you're not going to introduce me? You're just gonna, okay, okay. But then his ignorant, no good, but like he expects me, because I told this part of the story before. He expects me to move up north after his nightmare of a youngest daughter, and I'll tell the story or one example, because she was awful. And another reason I celebrated breaking up with Mr. No Heart, because I would never have to deal with the youngest daughter ever again. But when when it's like he would never acknowledge me in front of his high school mates and everything like that. When I finished my rough draft of my novel and I asked for him to read it, he looked right at me. He was just like, huh, I'll read it if you actually publish it one day. And I shared with him one of my poems from back in college that I wrote, and I asked him to read it. And he said he'll read it. And so I left it at his house, but I didn't feel comfortable leaving it at his house. And I remember a few weeks later, I was cooking in the kitchen, cooking him dinner, but And I had to go throw some stuff in the trash. And what did I find in the trash? Yeah, I found my poem in the trash. And I was in college. Like, I mean, yeah, we could save things kind of and everything, but we didn't have it wasn't like full blown email save and all this other stuff, whatever. So it's like, so yeah, I dusted off the poem and I put it in a folder. It's in my bookcase. So like when I find it, I might take a picture and post it in the community on YouTube so you guys can see the evidence of what this no good jerk had done to something that is like, I love writing. And for him to do that, and for his mother to say the only reason I got into college was because I was black. Whew. So, and when I got accepted to work a position, when he said anyone can do that, and this is one reason why, like, yeah, I could not, oh, the youngest daughter, but the oldest daughter, oh, she's amazing, wonderful. I adore her. And I hope everything's going well with her. Yeah, it's like, oh, I can't believe, well, I won't say her estimated age because I don't want people to try to look up who I'm talking about. But I remember when he said anybody can do that, and she was in the room, and she looked right at him and said, "Well, you can't." Oh, it was gold. It was amazing. It was such an amazing night that night. And I remember she said she wanted to go to my university because I went there because she knows how hard I worked with my education and my goals. But don't worry, I have more examples because, yeah, with the guy from the zoo, Scott, and I say his name because, yeah, no one's ever going to find him. But I remember how we started dating and everything, and I thought everything was going well, everything was going great. And I was doing promotional modeling while I was in grad school. And I did promotional modeling because it was right with a lot of the advertising and marketing companies. And promotional modeling is marketing and advertising. So I thought this would be great on my resume. This would be great experience, like literally one on one experience with all the different types of marketing out there, or at least the face to face marketing. And it was like we started dating, and he already knew what I was doing. I would tell him what I was doing. But then, yeah, next thing I know, he told me if I did not quit promotional modeling, he didn't want anything to do with me. And I was like, okay, well, can I at least do this while I finish my master's? Because it's like, this would be like, since I'm trying to get into the marketing agencies, this would really help me. No, no. And especially since I was going into training because I wanted to be in the training departments within the companies. Next thing I know, he calls me and tells me it's over. He's breaking up with me. He wants nothing to do with me. And so I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And I remember him saying, well, all you have to do is quit. All you have to do is stop doing the promotional stuff, and I'll be back with you. And I'm like, no, it's over. Don't worry. It's like, what time will you be home so I can pick up my stuff? Oh my gosh, he was so upset. Oh, it's like, is it sad that I still enjoy how upset he was with that? Oh, the Patty. I just love Patty. I love and devour Patty. But yeah, it's like we set up a day and time. I called him up, told him I was outside, and then he came and oh, he thought he was gonna be as masculine and macho as possible. So he carried my stuff in a birthday bag because my birthday was right around the corner or whatever. And so he's like, he kind of like, not, he doesn't throw it at me, but he kind of just like with a little bit of effort, kind of just makes sure he like pushes it towards me, whatever. And I was just like, oh, okay, whatever. And as I put the bag and but like he starts talking while I'm pulling up my window, whatever. But to me, I'm like, don't waste my time. If you say it's over, it's over. So it's like, you're going to tell me I need to quit something that's going to help my future. You're going to tell me I need to quit something that is literally like I'm able to do grad school and this at the same time to help my future. And you're going to tell me I can't do this? Skip you. I don't like you. You really act like you're doing something. And with some people don't believe in white privilege or whatever, but it's like, this is a guy who, it's like, his parents were literally going to buy him a business to help him be able to have a future. And it's like, and they were going to do it in some, like, he was working at a company that was similar to what he was going into, but his parents knew that him working under this guy, it was never going to develop into anything big or anything to the point where they would be on the same level as his parents and everything. So they were literally going to invest and buy a business, build a business for him. But then he got mad at me for putting in the work, and it's like going to like working even like the auto shows and working for different energy drinks and working the night at night bars and like promoting cars and like riding drives and etc etc, video games. Oh, the video games were like some of the most fun and everything because the little kids getting so excited. But yeah, he didn't want me to elevate myself at all. And the crazy thing is, I think it was about, oh no, actually, yeah, it was literally about 6 or 7 years later, because this was about 2 or 3 months after I broke up with Mr. Lakaki. Like, the timing was shocking. But guess who finds me on Facebook? Guess who writes me asking for a second chance or saying that even though he found oh yeah, remember the story when I told you guys about the birthday party of one of the family members, and the grandfather told him, I'm glad you found an amazing woman, but why can't you be happy with a decent white woman? Yeah, that's Mr. Scott. That's God. Yeah, that's his family. But yeah, he writes me on Facebook telling me that he ended up dating another black woman and everything, but he's not happy. He would rather be happy with me. And he looked me up, and he sees what I've been trying to do with my degrees and stuff like that, and how impressed he is, and now he wants to see if he can have a second chance. Oh yeah, I had to set him straight. Like, no, and that, like, you made your decision. You were so upset that I was trying to set goals, trying to work as hard as I could, and because you did not, because he was mad that I was going to a job where I had to be makeup or model ready. And that's the thing, like, I didn't work, like, I'm a curvy girl, I'm one of the thicker girls, so I didn't really work any of the more sexy promotions. It's like I said, it's like I worked a lot of the video game ones and a lot of the nerd ones. So, but he didn't like, and he would even say, but you're so beautiful. I know you get attention. I know you get A, B, and C. And I'm like, but if I'm dating a man, I'm dating that man. And it's like, and I didn't really get hit on that much at all. So that's another funny thing. He was jealous for no reason. He he wanted to push me down just for his own ego. So that's why when I look at this young woman in the Reddit, that story right there is like comes to mind because yeah, he was literally telling me to quit, and I chose my goals above him because I'm just like, who is he? And later in life, he might skip me, he might cheat on me. Like, he can do anything. But it's like, if I'm working on my degrees, if I'm working on my jobs, he can't take that away from me. No man can take that away from me. So, and now he's married to this black woman, and I believe they have 2 or 3 kids together. So, I'm happy for him. Actually, I'm very happy for him. And I know his grandfather hates it because he found another amazing black woman. He wasn't going to settle for just a decent white one. I'm sorry. It's like, I love that. I love it because I'm just like, yeah, you couldn't stay away from the chocolate or the caramel. It's like, you know how amazing we are. So, and you know how determined we are, and that we're not just going to take no slack. So, yeah. And I have other examples. I mean, because I've mentioned when I first got into grad school, which, like, right before I met Mr. Scott, there was an African American guy who I was so excited to tell him because he asked me on a date. I thought the dinner went pretty well. And so, since like just like a couple days later, I got accepted. So I'm like, ooh, next time I see him, I'm going to tell him. And he looked right at me and just said, what kind of man would want an educated woman? It's like, either you drop out or you're not going to see me. Again, I decided not to see him. I'm not going to, like, and this has happened quite a few times. And it's to the point where, okay, guys, if you're mad that women keep elevating themselves up, if you're mad that women keep having goals, why don't you set some goals? And I will admit, like, sometimes it is frustrating. It is infuriating, actually, when it's like I'm single because I wanted to be the best person I can be, and now I feel like I'm being punished for being the best woman I can be. And there's going to be a part 2 because now it's like I know I need to dive into the there are men who first they say they are attracted to me, they want to know more about me or get to know me, but then I have a disability. So I've had men that have gone out of prison, like, because it's like I used to give men a second chance. So if they were in prison or whatever, I'm like, okay, like, as long as they're honest with me and everything like that. But and I'm not saying all prisoner, or it depends on what they did. Yeah, it depends on what and how much time, you know. So, but a lot of men that once they see or hear me to mention or talk about my disability, I am no longer worthy. I am no longer on their level. I'm no longer valuable. I'm no longer sexual to them. Or, yeah. So, anyways, thanks for listening to the Handicapable Black Woman podcast. It's like, yeah, let's just say this. The next episode is going to get interesting, but I am a woman, I am of color, and I am handicapable. But most importantly, I am human.